All right, we are live. Sorry about the delay there. Just wanted to make sure I got all the latest code down and brought everything up. So let me know you are seeing and hearing me in the stream okay. Everything should be good. Just got off a live stream with Frake actually, so hopefully everything's good. Let me get a little drink though. All right. Cool. I see one or two people in the chat, so should be good. Okay, so yeah, lately I've been getting some questions, just like, hey, JMac, how do you upgrade like an old, Laravel application? And of course, the answer is Shift. As the creator of Shift, I believe it's the fastest way to upgrade old applications. But there's some nuances with that, just maybe how to even use a shift and get the most power out of it. So like the power usage, if you will. And that's what I want to look at today with gettinggit.com. So let me bring up Getting Git. This is one of my original video courses on Git itself, how to use it from the command line. I really think that's the way in which you can master Git itself. And this started out, honestly, probably as like a Laravel 5.6 application. And I kept up with it for a little while, but this is also a 3-year-old product now, I think. It's not really something that's super active anymore, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. And to that point, Shift has, these shifty plans. So let me just bring these up. I'm not trying to upsell or anything, but the point here is that as part of a Shifty plan, you can add repositories, and one of the benefits of a Shifty plan is this automation. And this automation automatically sends you pull requests to keep you kind of up to date for your current version. So for example, in this case, Getting Git is still actually running version 6, which is LTS, and it should get support for about another year. But all my other applications are running the latest stable version. In fact, Laravel Shift is even running the up-to-date version as of yesterday's patch release. So we can see here I get this nice green checkbox. And that's because of that automation. The rest of these are running Laravel 8, but they have a pull request out there that again is automated on a weekly basis from Shift to bring them to the absolute latest version, including the patch releases, the minor patch releases. But a couple applications, again, my inactive applications, even as the creator of Shift, have, honestly fallen to the wayside. Like this happens, right? This is the real world. So Getting Git is one of those. Workshops by JMac, which is not something I've given for about 2 years now, is even actually running something as old as 5.8. So should probably get that one upgraded as well. But I got a support ticket on Getting Git just to tweak some email and wording, and I just thought it'd be a good opportunity. So even though this is only just a few versions behind, we'll still get the idea of like how to use Shift, how to do some of these tweaks to get it fast. So we're still going to be going across 3 major versions, 6, 7, and 8. So let's get started, right? So the first thing I wanted to do was just kind of bring everything down and get a feel for the product or project. In this case, I just ran Composer Update locally, and I do have a few tests for this, so I am going to try to take advantage of these. I just want to see their current state. If you don't have any kind of tests, that's fine too. Maybe towards the end we can run something like the test generator. But most of these errors appear to be superficial with the application key not being specified. So we're going to take just a minute to try to get these tests in a place where they're reliable enough to trust. Because that's kind of the big thing. If you do have tests, you want to make sure they're kind of in a best place possible, because if you believe them to be running, but in this case they actually weren't, and you go in Shift, you're going to be chasing these red herrings because it's not really related to the upgrade, like your tests never ran to begin with. So I just want to do the best we can to get these in the most runnable place, especially if it's a simple thing like the encryption keys not being set. So we can do PHP artisan generate key, I think it is, with -- show. It is not generate. Oh, it's key generate. PHP artisan key generate. Whoops. Generate. There we go. dash dash show. That's what we wanted. And let's just throw this in our PHP unit.xml. And we just need an app key here. So we can change this to key, and we should be able to change this. Oh crap, I just cut the pasting. Let's see if we can scroll up and get that. No, we can't. That's all right. There it is. Let's copy that again, and let's try to get that right this time. So let's insert paste. There it is. All right, and let's do vendor bin PHP unit. And again, I'm not worried if there are some failures. We got a few incompletes. Action Store does not have validation using app HTTP request create order request. Controller action could not be found. User controller update. Okay, so again, the point here is not necessarily to make my tests run, it's just to try to get them in the most running capacity. So we have a few incomplete tests that already existed, and then 2 failures relating to these 2 user controller bits here. So I'm not going to worry too much about these 2 failures. Again, this is the real world. This is an application. This is as best as it's kind of running. So I'm gonna leave that here for now. And at the end, we can hopefully see those 2 same failing tests, and we'll take the opportunity then to fix them. And some people might be thinking, oh, well, why aren't you fixing all your tests? I don't know if this is related to just an always broken test. Was this a bad, poor upgrade before? Will these things be affected by the upgrade to Laravel 8? And I have to change them yet again? I don't know. So because of the unknown, I'm just going to kind of leave them in their current state in a way to do like the least effort as possible. And that's what we're going to see kind of here as being the power user strategy. It's all about least effort. So let's do this. Let's check out, I like to check out a separate Laravel upgrade branch. This is just a little convention I follow. And I'm just going to kind of add just the tracked files here, and let's do something like, prepare for Laravel upgrade, because it's just a composer update and kind of getting local tests to be in a place where they're runnable. So we're going to push origin head on that. And again, just a convention, Shift automatically creates a separate branch. You could just keep putting everything into master, but because I'm going to run 3 major versions very quickly, I want to keep that as a separate Laravel upgrade branch, and then push that into master as its own full PR to go all the way. So that's the reason I'm creating a separate branch. Again, Shift will do that for you for every shift that is run, but this is an opportunity to do that. So I just clicked a little run button there. It automatically was telling me, hey, you're version 7, let's keep going. So that's part of a Shifty plan. If not, you could have just done this with new Shift. And I'm going to change this to that Laravel upgrade branch. We're going to check out and run. And because, again, it's part of my plan, there's no pay step here. So we'll hit run. That's going to jump out on the queue. And we'll give this just a minute to finish up. So feel free to shoot me any questions in the chat along the way with any of my crazy conventions here for power shift usage. So we can see here that I've definitely shifted some of my other applications recently, and we'll go through even something like this namespace model shift for Getting Git as well. So 158, let's take a look. So here's how I go through the power usage. When I'm going multiple versions, I'm really only going to look for the error and warning comments. Anything else is informational, and I'll come back to it. So we see all these nice atomic commits here. That's great. So we see that Shift upgraded. It's an informational comment. I'm barely even going to read it. It's something it did. It automated that change. It all looks good to me. I'll give it a quick review. Same thing here. It added the Laravel UI package. Going to leave it alone. It changed mail driver. I don't have this listed anywhere else, but again, it's a warning comment, so I'm just going to do a quick check for that. So let's do a git fetch origin and go ahead and bring these changes down. So git checkout shift 349 whatever, And I'm just going to do a fully exhaustive grep here for that on just this local directory. So that's going to let me know if I'm using MailDriver anywhere else per the comment here, but I know that I'm not. It updated my dependencies, great, I'm not going to worry about that. It removes some of the configuration, but it's not the same as the default here. Okay, so even though this is an informational comment, I mentioned this in one of my recent tweet threads. Anytime Shift mentions, hey, this wasn't the same as your default, what I like to do is go get that default and just actually default my own local file based on what it says. So let's go back here. Grep didn't find anything. I'm going to pb paste or paste this into that file is PHP unit. So we do see that it's going to end up making some changes there. The reason I default these files is because if I'm going multiple versions of Laravel, I don't want to see that message every single time, because that's what's going to happen, right? Your file is always going to be different than what is kind of expected to be the default. What I'd rather do is default this and then allow Shift to automate it all the rest of the way, and then at the very end I will backfill my customizations once. So think about that. If I was coming from 5.2 or 5.5 or even 4.2, I would have to do that potentially 13 times if I wanted to go to the latest version. So that's a very pro tip right there. I know that seems counterintuitive, but here's the catch. It's super easy because it's going to, again, give me the least amount of effort now and just have it to change it once. So I can do something like phpunit.xml. I'm just going to blindly add that. And what I like to do, again, as another little convention, is just say default core files. That might be one file, that might be 10 files, it doesn't matter. It just depends on how many times I saw that type of comment in the pull request. And I'm going to go ahead and push that up as a change. And we'll see this come across here in just a sec. Here it is. What's nice about this is I'll just keep a reference to this, and I've already got everything. I've already got the diff I need. I've got a reference to the customizations I need to change. Again, I'll just come back once we get to Laravel 8, once I've done all the fixing and automation I want to with Shift. I'll come back and look at any of these default core file commits and just bring over my changes one time at the very end. I'm going to let Shift do the most automation it can do along the way. So again, pro tip there, we'll keep reference to this, this commit so it's very easy to come back to. Okay, so that's all good. Another quick thing I like to do in these is actually just delete any of them that I don't care about. You could do you know, a thumbs up or thumbs down emoji if you prefer. Again, a couple different ways. A lot of the times I just like to delete them because it allows me to know that they're kind of already done and get rid of the noise. Okay, in Laravel 7 we got another little warning comment. The assert C method now automatically escapes the expected values. Okay, so it's automatically escaping stuff for HTML. If we want to, we can set a new second argument to false. Okay, we've got two places where we're doing this, so let's go take a look. Again, warning comment, I want to take a look at this. So let's bring up PHP Storm, and we will give that just a sec to come up. And let's bring up Getting Git, there it is. And the IMAX humming while all those new files get indexed. So we've got check purchasing power test. Okay, and again, being the creator of Shift and very close to changes within Laravel, what this particular change is really talking about, or what I need to look out for here, is am I checking for any kind of raw HTML in my assert C? And if so, then I need to make sure that I'm escaping or not escaping that secondary bit, because otherwise it's going to fail, right? So in this case, if I'm just checking for general text, there's no change necessary. But notice that this one actually checks the attribute value of some HTML. Admittedly, probably not the most awesome test, but it's a very easy way to test some kind of behavioral type stuff in the page while still using an HTTP test instead of Dusk, for example. So my guess is that particular test is probably going to fail. I'm going to add that false there per the recommendation. Again, this one, the percent discount is just text, so I really shouldn't need that. All right, what's the next one? Checkbox on that. Let's do order test. Whoops. Let's bring that up. Same thing here. Where am I doing assert C? So this is API slash PPP. So this is a purchasing power bit. Again, that might be, it's not the most descriptive test in fairness. To me, this looks like it's probably an HTML attribute. That's not the most awesome test in fairness, but I would say that this probably needs to be a false. And this assert don't see is the same thing, so false. And then do we have it anywhere else? No. Okay, so I think those should be good. Let's add these up. So let's just do git commit -m. Do not escape expected value. All right, we'll push those up. Keep going. All right, next warning comment. Okay, anytime I see these types of comments where Laravel's maybe changed something and it's just kind of a warning, and unless you explicitly know, for example, that I was like serializing date or using some of these mentioned bits here, I normally trust that it's going to be fine. Again, especially if I'm armed with a set of tests. So even though not all my tests are running, I do have some tests. I also know that I'm not doing much with API responses in Getting Git in this particular project. So I just don't foresee this being a particular issue. So I'm going to leave it here. And sometimes I'll do something like the eyes emoji, like keep an eye on that, right? And then finally, just an informational one. Again, I'm not going to worry about it. That doesn't mean you should just blindly delete this, but again, knowing this application, for example, I could do like a real quick search. Am I doing anything with Symfony directly, right? Any kind of namespace, any kind of object in my application with Symfony directly? And the answer here is no. The only place this is found is in the vendor folder, which of course is going to reference Symfony. So I'm not doing any Symfony objects directly, and therefore I can trust that Laravel and its updates are going to be fine, because Laravel is kind of insulating me from those changes. Okay, so all that's left here is the environment variable, which we did check for. So again, I can just delete that or thumbs up it, whatever you want. So the only thing after burning through this that might be an issue is really just this. I don't think it is, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to merge that pull request. And we're moving on. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. We're going to refresh. Everything's good here. And I can do the run Laravel 8 shift next. So what, 9 minutes we just saw to do that upgrade. So again, we're just burning through these, right? We're going to get all the way where we want to go, and then we're going to slow it down and make those checks. So I don't need that branch. While we're waiting on that to run, we'll just kind of close those other things down. Or well, you know what? We do want to keep a reference. Whoops. That's interesting. Chrome kept the original version of that page. That's kind of cool. So yeah, I do want to keep a reference to this backfilling up, so we'll keep that up. All right, cool. That ran, so we're on Laravel 8 now. And same drill. We're going to go through this. The route service provider no longer prefixes namespace. We can use this shift workbench to fix that. Awesome. So I'll just go ahead and delete that because I know I'm going to do that. We introduced class-based factories. Ooh, awesome. So let's just take a quick peek at this because I think this is really cool in the latest Laravel 8 shift. It automatically converted all those classes kind of the way they needed to be class-based. So this is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet bit of automation there. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, cool. We could have used this legacy factories if we wanted, but it's fine. I'm not using any jobs in my application, but again, I'll just do the little eyes emoji there. It updated my dependencies, so again, any of these informational comments we can really kind of quickly jog through. So we will take a look at that, and we reintroduce the app models, which can be another free shift. So we'll run that as soon as everything looks good. So we can see here that I didn't really run into any like defaulting files or anything like that, and that's the beauty of that approach where we kind of quickly allow things to be defaulted, is because it's going to allow us to move very quickly to the next versions. And each iteration that you go through as you continue defaulting files, especially if you were on like a Laravel 5 application or even a Laravel 4 application, you'll see that as you keep going higher in the numbers, you're going to get a smaller and smaller PR. Shift's going to do more and more automation. There's going to be more informational comments that are potentially optional or just really educating you on changes in Laravel. They're not required. For example, hey, Laravel 8 revived the app models folder. You don't have to keep it, but if you want to change, here's a free shift, right? Like these are all optional things. And then just a little congratulations now that you're all the way at the bottom, right? And we will run some of those if we have time. So let's check out this branch. And now we're going to slow down, right? So let's do Git Checkout on, oops, we need to do a fetch first. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Hey Andres. All right, Git Checkout, that shift. Okay, so now that we're on Laravel 8, I am going to slow down because we're on the latest version. And let's do something like composer update and make sure our dependencies are good. So while that's running in the background, let's just kind of review what we skipped here. We did skip this error, so that's a big one we need to check out. So it's saying, hey, the route service provider has changed. It's got some new rate limiters. Let's go check that out. So I'm just going to go like we did before, get this raw one, and we'll go back to the route service provider here. And let's just kind of take a peek at maybe what might have been custom in here. Okay, what's custom in here is it looks like I still have the namespace, which is one of the customizations, but it does look like I changed this home constant to dashboard. So pretty minor stuff. That might be something I try to improve in a future shift or future versions of shift, but let's just go ahead and bring some of this stuff back to life. So we've got dashboard, and I did actually want to preserve, at least for now, that namespace bit. So here's what I'm going to do instead. I am going to undo that change and really just keep these parts that I know I want to keep. So let's go back and let's keep just these. So again, we're going to be more surgical now that we're towards the end. So let's do something like this. Let's just paste that in there, and then we'll start kind of moving the pieces we know we want around. So Laravel packed all these down into one now, but I'm going to keep that namespace. So let's just keep my namespace there, keep my namespace, and now we should be able to bring this below my home constant and get rid of all that old boot and map stuff. And this is the best of both worlds. So now I can take away this header, and I should now be able to keep my namespace, my custom home constant. I've got the new stuff for the boot method, the new this routes shorthand, and then that new rate limiter configuration. And the little squigglies here probably just because Composer has not finished updating, which makes sense. I do know this Marcel Laravel test factories is not compatible with Laravel 8. So, and I also know I don't need it anymore. I've already generated all my factories. So let's drop that out and we'll try running this again. And this is kind of the catch. This is where things slow down, right? We can use things really effectively with shift, shift very quickly and so forth. But at some point, you're going to slow down when you reach the final version. Or sometimes I'll take pit stops at LTS versions. So let's say that Getting Git would have been a 5.3 application. I might have shifted quickly like we saw to 5.5 and then taken what I call a pit stop. That pit stop is really to do something like this: run Composer update, run PHP Artisan, maybe run your tests. At least make sure the application is on the right track. What you don't want to do is if you shift all the way from 5.3 to to 8, for example, and you don't take some of those little pit stops to at least kind of check your dependencies or check artisan, you're going to be doing this part right here for like an hour, okay? So I might have 2 or so because we're on the latest version, and again, I know that a couple of these, again, as being part of the upgrade community for Laravel, like I'm pretty familiar with packages that aren't compatible and so forth like that. So for example, getting back to this application, Vimeo, I've actually already created a fork for, so let's go pull that up. So if we go look at their pull requests, we've got this Laravel 8 support. I've actually forked this. Someone had already mentioned this before. I know as someone using this package, Vimeo is just not very good about getting this merged. No offense to Vimeo, I love their product, but the management of this package is an often story of even other packages. Sometimes these things sit for months even after the Laravel bit. So what I've done, let's see. Yeah, what I've done is created a PR, and this is actually a new service from Shift, by the way. I'm starting to track if you do something like can I upgrade Laravel, this will take you to Shift, and I'm starting to track something here where it's like if we do like Vimeo Laravel, that might not be the right package, but we can see things like, oh, it's not supported, or oh, the old version for 7 would have been 5.5. So if we stopped at 7, great, but if we don't stop, if we go to 8, then unfortunately right now we're not supported. So Shift monitors like the top 250 Laravel packages, and it'll automatically send those package authors this type of pull request that helps them get a jump start on like bumping their versions and all that. The beauty of this, okay, the point I'm driving at, is that this PR also contains information to use this package locally, so it does not prevent you from upgrading to Laravel 8. Now I will admit, you're going to be testing this package on a version that's technically unsupported, but you'll often find that many of these things it's just a composer dependency keeping them from being upgraded. It's not really incompatible code. It's pretty rare that they need to make actual code changes. So let's follow these instructions that, again, this new service from Shift already gave us, and we'll go back to Composer and drop in that new repositories bit, and whoops, we don't need those extra quotes. I should probably fix that in the PR, and then we'll want to change our Vimeo requirement to this point to this Laravel 8 compatibility. So another way Shift can help you is, even if you do run into some of these dependencies issues, check it out, because Shift might have automatically kind of been making a PR to these authors, but it just hasn't been merged yet. But there's nice instructions in those comments, just like you get on the Shift PR itself. So let's try to run Composer update again, and I'm going to get a quick drink. Again, feel free to throw any questions in the chat. I know we're going over some of this stuff pretty quickly, but regardless of if you use Shift or not, these dependencies are always going to be a challenge, and that's why I wanted Shift to have yet another feature to it to try to be helping with these types of things. So hey, there we go. That was it. So those 2 packages that were not supported, which again, this can I upgrade Laravel would have noted those as being potential problems if you want to check that before your latest version upgrade. But I'm pretty confident we can get there, so I just kind of go for it. Okay, so let's see where we are. We've upgraded the route service provider. We've upgraded Composer. Can we run something like Artisan? Yes, we can. Can we run something like Artisan route list? I like route list as, like, if you don't have tests, route list is kind of a nice little smoke tester, because it effectively loads up all your controllers and kind of touches all the actions, so to speak. So it's a good way to kind of make sure you don't have any high level errors in your application, right? And especially because we changed that route service provider. So look at that, everything here looks good. So this would be an example of a smoke test. So if I were on a really old version, that's as much as I would do at like the LTS versions. So at 5.5, I would have done composer update, gotten that to run, and then I would have at least done something like Artisan to make sure there's no major errors. Because again, you're going to get some high-level errors with Artisan. Do the packages load? Do your service providers load? If you run route lists, do all your controllers load? That also checks things like implicit model binding. So if you don't have tests, another pro tip is run something like Artisan route list, and that's going to give you a pretty quick indication, a little bit of confidence that you don't have anything majorly broken. Your application would at least fire up and run, right? Do all your features work? Not necessarily, but at least the application itself, Laravel itself, is running. And that's enough for me to get back to shifting, go to the next version, LTS version. In this case, that would be, or this example would be 6.x. I would go quickly, I would just look at warnings, I would default files, I would just keep going, right? Those pit stops, I am not backfilling file changes, okay? I'm just making sure Artisan and Composer and all that stuff's kind of running. And just keep going, right? So that's going to be the fastest possible way to get to the latest version. Okay, now that we're there and I've followed all of the commands or comments, so we've worked through the compatibility issues. We can close those down. We've copied over the default files. Again, I'm not running any failed jobs, but I'm going to leave that up just in case I'm wrong about that. The last little thing here is Laravel, PHP 9 has introduced a little config change. So we can actually take the default, which I'll just do since we've been defaulting this file all along, and we'll go to php unit.xml. I'm going to drop that back in so I know I have the absolute latest version now. And now I'm going to take the opportunity to backfill my customizations. So we've just got all of these old default values, don't care about those. I'm going to want that app key back, so let's take the opportunity again now to bring back those customizations. So DB connection, we still want to keep those as SQLite, and basically those were just commented out, so we can uncomment those. Should be able to format this file, and that's all the customizations I had. Look how quick that was. I didn't have to carry my customizations through every one of those versions. I just did it once, and I know two things. One, I've got the most recent, the latest version of this file, latest conventions, everything, and I just dropped in my quick customizations, which were really just this app key, right? It also gives me an opportunity to take a look at maybe there's more modern ways to be setting this. Maybe this should be set with CI environment variables. Maybe this should be set in a .env file and not necessarily here. So again, each time you go and pull these customizations back in, just like the route service provider, I could have kept the original boot method. I could have kept the map web routes. And if I were doing this all manually without shift or without that kind of defaulting, I might have just left it that way. But in doing this once at the very end, again, it gives me that opportunity, it gives me that little nudge to see the modern ways Laravel's working and to kind of start to take advantage of those and adopt those latest conventions. So you don't end up with like this hybrid upgraded application. You get this application, Getting Git, even though I probably started this on 5.7, it's going to look like I just did Laravel new with Laravel 8, and it's a Laravel 8 application. And that's what I really, really love about something like Shift and these kind of nuanced practices of using it, right? Is because this application feels like Laravel 8, just like all my other apps I work on. I don't have to do any like mental switching. So I just really love having, that kind of feeling. When I jump in, I know what to expect. Okay, I'll get off my biased opinion there towards how awesome Laravel Shift is. So now that we backfilled that, my expectation is that the test should run. Okay, trait JMac tests HTTP assertions not found. Okay, I'm going to play dumb here. I'm going to know what this is, but I'm going to play dumb here for the audience. And anytime I get these kind of errors, I'll do something like this. I'll just do a little, hey, Laravel upgrade traits, whatever's not found. I'll just search for the error. Okay, so this relates to this package, which I am using. and I could read the README and see what's going on, but I actually have a change log here. This is my own package. Oh, look, in 1.0, the HTTP test assertions were renamed to additional assertions. Hey, no problem. All right, well, let's just do a little find and replace, shall we? There we go, we got 2 places, so this is pretty easy. Just a little find and replace from the changelog. Do that in those 2 spots. Okay, let's try running those tests again. Hey, there we go. Hey, this looks great. Okay, this is exactly where we were before. Same 2 failures, no big deal. We'll come back and fix those here in just a minute. But this, I'm not getting additional failures, and at least we know, again, these are failing for maybe the same reason as before. Maybe they're now failing for some kind of Laravel 8 reason, but it doesn't really matter. They were failing all along, and we're going to fix them once here in just a minute. But that makes me feel pretty good that this Laravel 8, at least, change is working. So let's see what we have. So I'm going to do a git add. Let's just be separative here with this. So this app one is git commit -m. I'm going to say shift route service provider. I like to make these a bit generic but also atomic, just because it gives me that opportunity to kind of have that history of kind of what changed. That way, if I did make a mistake, there's an opportunity for me to kind of have some more context. Again, it's a little nuanced. It takes a little extra time, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to add Composer, and this will just be Composer update. What's left? I'm going to do git add PHP unit, and we'll do shift and backfill customizations. All right, and then finally tests. All right, and then we'll do shift HTTP test assertion, or what's that library called? Sorry. Let's call it the library name. Again, a bit nuanced, but I just like to have that extra context. If there ever is, you run like git bisect in the future, or you made a mistake and a month from now, you just don't remember. It's just good to have these atomic commits. Okay, the final thing here is this file. It's kind of weird that it's picking that up, but I know why. And the reason why is I probably have an outdated .gitignore file. So I'm just going to go out to Laravel's latest, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take their latest file, and I'm just going to default mine, because again, it's probably just a little bit old, right? There's some crazy stuff in here. So I'm going to keep my stuff, but I can tell that all this is kind of the old stuff. So I'm going to take the opportunity to put theirs in and then call mine out with custom. And now when we run git status, we just have that modified gitignore. So git commit -m shift.gitignore. There we go. And that should be everything we need for the Laravel 8 upgrade. We already got our customizations. Again, if there would have been a lot of files in here, I just would have kept going down and hitting all of those, right? Okay, so that's good. We can delete this. And I do want to take the opportunity to again, update the latest conventions. So app models is now the latest thing. Let's make this application look like Laravel 8. So it's a free shift, why not? So let's go ahead and merge this in, and we'll take the opportunity to run this as well. So let's go to that namespace model. We're going to run that for free. Jason McCreary, gettinggit.com, Laravel upgrade. Let's check out and run. Again, it's part of my plan. Well, it's a free shift anyway, but it would have been part of the plan, so I could just run that as well. So we'll let this run in the background. How we doing out there in the chat? I know we're moving quick, but that's the whole point, right? I mean, what? It's been about a half hour, and we've already shifted 3 major versions. We're about to adopt some of the latest conventions to make this look completely like a Laravel 8 application. And we'll finish up by cleaning up those tests so I can feel confident pushing this to production. Okay, while Shift updated model references within your application, you may reference models outside the code. Be sure to review environment configuration as well as database or queues for any additional references. So for example, if I was doing like a polymorphic relationship, it saves those in the database as app/user, right? You can get around that with morph map. So I highly encourage you to look at something like morph map in Laravel. Even if you don't plan on changing your models, I still encourage you using morph map if you have polymorphic relationships. This is a way for you to say, just in your database, you would just simply say posts, users, videos, whatever it is, right? And then here is where you would actually have the mapping. This decouples your application from your database. It's a really good practice to kind of have that so you don't have to worry about those types of relationships. Again, fortunately, Getting Git and most applications aren't necessarily that complex. They may not be using those, or they might already be using morph map. So I know this is not going to be an issue for me, at least not in the database. Could still be a configuration issue. So for example, I am using Stripe. Stripe may reference app model or app user, for example, instead of app models user. But let's see that Shift did a good job here. So all of the model references now are app models. Let's see if it got those configuration files as well. I think it would have. So we can see even in our controllers it cleaned that up. Even in our references it cleaned it up. So everything became app models. And yes, config auth is now app models. Our settings for Stripe are now app models. Even our database factories and tests all became app models. So this looks pretty good. I am going to go ahead and trust this. So I'm going to delete that note. Well, you know what? This might be better just to leave with a set of eyes, right? Just because, hey, maybe if I made a mistake, that's going to be a nice little reference someday to come back and see, oh, you know what? Crap, I did have that in the queues and I didn't even check. But I am going to go ahead and merge this. Let's delete the branch. Let's git checkout. Whoops, git checkout Laravel upgrade, git pull. Oops, git pull origin Laravel upgrade. And let's run our tests again. So should see, ooh, we got some failures, lots of failures. All right, what's the problem here? Class app models purchasing power not found. Ooh, this is a little catch in my own application. Let's look at this. So good, see the tests are helping me here. Purchasing power is technically not a model. It's a bit of an enum, but I treat it like a model. So some people might want to take the opportunity to throw it in enum. You could throw it in a domain, support, whatever you want. I'm an advocate for the core thing. I was treating it like a model before. I'm going to continue to treat it like a model now. So I'm just going to drop this in models, and I'm going to update its models namespace there. So I'm just going to continue to treat it like a model because that's what I was doing before. If I had a couple of those, I might take the opportunity to give those a better namespace, but there we go. Let's see. Okay, that helped me pretty well. We just have these two failures again. We're going to fix those, but compared to what it was before, this is correct. So git add -u, let's get the rest of those. So we just rename those. Continue to, or let's see here, what do I want to say here? Treat purchasing power as a model. There we go. Git push origin head. All right, what else can we do? Again, I just want to keep making this the latest version possible. Okay, what I want to do last, and then we'll move on, but just to demonstrate kind of a new shift. So we're running 8.x. We have tests. I don't want to lint necessarily. I want to go ahead and run the fixer. The fixer is going to get any kind of outdated stuff that the linter would pick up, but it's actually going to automate those things. So I can run the linter for free, and then I can just do all the things myself that it does. That's totally fine. I make that one free. It's the most popular shift that's out there. So this can always, this can be run anytime you upgrade. It can be run periodically if you're working on a large team or you're making a lot of changes. You can run the linter to get some feedback on, like, are you doing things quote unquote the Laravel way, right? But I know I like doing things the Laravel way. I don't want to do it manually. Again, I have a shifty plan, so that's always going to be included, unlimited number of runs. So I'm just going to run it. gettinggit.com, Laravel upgrade, checkout, run. And I got that on the queue. We did push our changes, good, so it should just be running against that Laravel upgrade. So let's let this run. So look, in the last 36 minutes, we have not only upgraded to Laravel 8, we're following all the latest conventions with the models, and then we're about to get even more fixes, and then I'll get those tests running all the way. And I kind of allocated an hour for this, so I tell you what, as a bonus, what we may do is also add some GitHub Actions to get me that feedback that those test suites are running and passing. But let's finish up this one real quick. Okay, so the Laravel fixer does a lot, and what I really wanted from the Laravel fixer was shifting to this class-based routes. That's really the only thing I wanted. It was noted in that Laravel 8 PR as an optional change, but it's a Laravel 8 thing now to use the tuples, use class-based routes when you're registering your routes. But let's slow down for a sec and just from a demo purpose take a look at the fixer, because I think it's a really underutilized shift, to be honest, and I think it's really helpful. Again, just kind of cleaning stuff up. So of course we get the coding style, but we get things like blade directives. So look at this. Clearly I was running old Laravel stuff. Like I said, this was an old 5.6 application probably. There's a new blade directive for CSRF. It found those and cleaned those up. That's awesome. Shift validation rules are now array syntax, just a bit more of a modern convention Laravel does. Instead of those pipe delimited strings, it fixed those up. All this just tedious, annoying crap, that I probably wouldn't want to do. This one's optional. You can actually turn this off, but it leverages the injected requests object instead of maybe using things like the helper. I was only doing this in one spot, but pretty nice little change there. Again, that's configurable. You can actually change it the other way to use helpers and not use the injection. So it's up to you. We got fluent route changes, and then finally the one I care about is this class-based factory. So let's take a look at these. So just some stuff here, making sure you have kind of the full redirection chain just to kind of make those conventional. Taking advantage of shorthand, so instead of saying response null 204, I can say something like response no content. And actually that 204 should have been dropped. I'm going to make a little screenshot of that so I can clean that up myself as a bug with shift, because yeah, that's unnecessary. That was the whole point. This could just be response no content. So I'll clean that up. And then now we start to see all of our routes getting cleaned up here. And this is where we're definitely going to want to check our tests. So it removed the default namespace. It got rid of those in the route service provider. And now I bet you this looks, minus that home constant, this looks exactly like the Laravel 8 route service provider. We see the API got updated. We're bringing all these in now, and we're using those class-based tuples. We're using class registries even for our invocable controller. Again, all modern conventions brought down or automated automatically for us by Shift. Now, since we had that little bug last time, let's actually, git fetch. And let's go check out that branch and actually run our tests here, just because my guess is we might have, that's a lot of changes, so we might have some stuff here. So let's keep all these together. Yes, we definitely have some stuff here. Okay, so it looks like class app HTTP controllers auth not found. Okay, so our route service provider web PHP 54. So it looks like maybe some of that automation is just a bit off. Bet you it got the wrong import. Let's take a look. Okay, I see what happened here. I've got a special, it imported auth routes, but really this is the auth facade. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean that up by getting rid of that. Let's import the auth facade, which is correct for the routes, and then I'll just hard link this all the way with a fully qualified namespace. So this is app http controllers auth login controller. There we go. PHP Storm showing no more squiggly. Let's see if that goes a little farther. Nope. Okay, in API line 17, so same issue, a little bit off there. I can probably tweak that. Oh, there was a double escape there, so it didn't pick that up correctly. We can fix that, no problem. So little bugs in the machine, I will get those cleaned up in Shift so it does better automation there, because those are pretty easy to fix. And since we're importing everything, let's import the route facade as well. All right, let's try that again. And there we go. So just a couple incorrect namespaces, and still those two same failing tests in the order controller and the user controller test. Awesome. Okay, so let's do a git add-u to add those changed files, and git commit-m fix class references. Cool. Git push origin head. Okay, so as far as we know from our tests, from reviewing the files changed manually here, this should all be good. So I'm going to go ahead and merge that. And we'll delete that branch. Okay, so now two last things I want to do. One, I want to get those tests passing. We're finally at that place. And then two, we'll take just a few minutes. I'll copy it from my other projects, maybe Confident Laravel or something. Let's get some GitHub Actions going to actually run those tests, right? So let's do Git Checkout dash to go back to the Laravel upgrade branch. And we'll do a git push origin, or git pull origin head, I think we can do. Nope, we can do Laravel upgrade. There we go, there they are. So let's get these fixed. What's going on here? Okay, so it looks like we just have kind of a weird reference here, so let's check this out. Alright, so it's claiming, let's find that. Oh, PHP Storm's indexing. There we go. Okay, so it says it's in the order controller. So let's take a look at the order controller, and we'll bring these up side by side. Store should be doing a create order request. It is not a create order request. It's just called an order request now. So maybe just a bit of outdated code there. Let's fix that. So that's pretty easy. Okay, good. Down to 1. All right. So probably just the same thing here, controller action. Probably just a small change I did without ever updating the tests. So let's do this. You should use PHP Artisan test. Why? Okay, so app controllers, user controller. There's no user controller. That's strange. I do have, oh, it's users controller. So another bad reference there. Strange. So we should get to just incomplete. Okay, good. So we just have some incomplete tests I never finished, but that's okay. These are no longer failing, just some bad references there. Again, not something related to the upgrade. They were clearly just broken all along. So git add-u, git commit-m, fix failing tests. All right, git push origin head. Adrian, PHP, yeah, use PHP. Yeah, why? What's the difference? Do I get any benefit, or is it just syntactic sugar to do this? Oh, you get a different output. Okay, yeah. I'm not a fan of that output personally, but yeah, that is nice though. That's definitely nice. Cool. So yeah, I could use both of those. I don't know. I do PHP projects still, so I'm just kind of used to running this one, and I like the consolidated output. I'm sure I can configure the other one, but again, best of both worlds. Okay, let's close all this down, and let's go make a proper pull request for this Laravel upgrade. All right, we're going to pull it into this, so we'll do Laravel upgrade. Let's call this shift to Laravel 8. And let's create this pull request. There is no shift for that. Cool. Okay, so this, of course, is ready to merge, but let's take the opportunity to finish this live stream and just do some, let's try to set up some GitHub Actions just real fast. So if I go out, I know I run these for like confident, or wait, github.com. There it is, confident Laravel. Let's just steal these. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. So let's do a make dir .github. What do they call that? Workflows. And we'll do a -p, so they're all made, and then we'll pb paste build.yaml. Oh, did that wrong. pb paste output. Okay, cool. So we should have that, and let's just kind of review this. On pull request, we're going to just run Ubuntu. We're going to do all of our checkout. We're going to make sure Composer's valid, fine. We're going to install all the dependencies, of course, and then we're going to run our test suite. So really basic bit here. So let's do git commit -m, add GitHub action to run test suite. Git push origin head. Set up GitHub Actions 101, grab config from another project. That's what yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've kind of already done the legwork out there, so let's go back now. And what I would expect, here we go, we're building, great. Okay, so let's just kind of watch this. That's fun. So it's going to start up the workflow. Let's just make sure this is all good. And then probably what I'll do is I'll do it offline. I like to do it fresh after lunch, so I'm not like stomach growling and everything. But I will deploy this pretty quickly afterwards. But yeah, let's. And the other reason I like the Laravel upgrade branch, just while we're waiting for this to build, is I know everything's on this branch. It's all the latest work, so I can actually deploy this particular branch. And then that way if there is a problem I can go back to master and deploy it. So another benefit of kind of having that completely separate branch, even though Shift made its own. So I'll deploy this Laravel upgrade branch and go from there. Check out the Livewire action. We use Composer v2 there. Oh, yeah, you're right. It'd definitely be a little faster to use Composer v2. I do think there's some built-in caching with the one that I use, so the next run should be much faster. What I'm curious about are the incomplete tests considered a failure? Ooh, we have a failure regardless. So the test suite did fail, actually. Ooh, the mix manifest does not exist. Okay, this is a common problem. Let's fix that. Let's go into our tests case. And again, why is my vendor folder not being ignored? That's pretty annoying. There is a without mix that you can do. I'm just debating, do I want to do it on both, or do I just want to do it for this test? Is it just this order controller test? It is just this order controller test. Okay, yeah, you know what? Instead of doing it for everything, I'm going to do it just for this order controller test, because as we saw earlier, that's the only one that kind of does this kind of HTML style check. So I think I'll just set these up to say, I don't want without exception handling here. Let's say without mix. And I could put this in test case, but let's just, okay, so which one failed? Index displays order view, and then index does not send Okay, so this one. So we'll just hand code those in there. So git add dot git commit dash m. Let's see, something like avoid mix for HTML or HTML. I don't know what I want to call it. Like, yeah, HTML tests. I don't know. Git push origin head. All right, let's see if that kicks the build a little better. This is actually why I like having a CI separately, is because I can set this CI up, these test suites, to more closely resemble different types of environments. So for example, I would have never caught that locally because I probably always would have had a mix manifest. So it's kind of nice to have that. I can also make this run against a MySQL database, so I can keep the speed of an SQLite database locally in memory, but here I might want to have, again, a more closely resembling production. And to that point, the opposite. Maybe part of one of the build steps is to build the project, run npm, install everything. It'd be a bit slower, but it would have avoided disabling mix here. So anyway, whatever you want to do. Let's go back. This should have fired off a new build by now. So let's just see this pass, and then we'll end this stream. So yeah, feel free to shoot me across any questions you have about Shift, testing, whatever. But hopefully we saw, again, from the dashboard here, 40 minutes at this point, probably, to go across 3 major versions, have a completely upgraded application, not just running Laravel 8 from a composer standpoint, but we're following all the conventions, we have all the latest updates, things are namespaced as models, we've got the class-based routes. I mean, that's a lot of changes if you would have wanted to adopt all that. And maybe not at first, that's a big deal, right? But over time, as a lot of us develop multiple Laravel applications, it would just be annoying, to be in one application that did it kind of the latest way and then kind of always be carrying this old application. And again, that's just something I really like about Shift, is its goal is to give you the latest, project, as if you would have been running that version of Laravel all along. And I just think that extra bit is really way more thorough than what most humans do. We're lazy developers. To the point of this whole video, like, even demoing how to work efficiently through Shift in a way is kind of being that lazy developer. Like, how can I get the most out of Shift for the least effort? So hopefully we saw some cool tips for that. All right, as soon as this, so it doesn't look like it cached the dependencies, unfortunately, so I will fix that. I think Ramsey just shared something on that. Let's see, Ramsey, Composer, GitHub Action. I just saw something on Twitter the other day that he had kind of pushed out there. Yeah, here we go. I think he has you don't need to do like all of it yourself. You can actually use his, and it's going to do that dependency caching for you automatically. So we could change to that. We could change to Composer 2 and the caching manually, but whatever. That's for later. Separate live stream. So let's see if all the tests run here. All right, we still got some errors. Index display. Oh, I'm such a goof. Thanks in the chat. This is without mix. Oh, come on. Where were you all on that one? Save me. All right, let's do a git add -u. And you know what? I'm just going to append that. Git push origin head -f. It's only me working on it. We're going to clean up my mistake. It never happened. It never happened. Force upgrade. Okay. Well, here's what we'll do. We're going to let that run. I'm going to feel pretty comfortable that that's going to pass this time. And we'll see everything nice and pretty. So let's go back to gettinggit.com or the repo. Let's bring up those pull requests. And Oh, look at all those Laravel updaters, man. All right, so the build's going to run yet again, third time's a charm. I feel pretty good that we're going to get past that. My only stipulation would potentially be that those incomplete tests are considered a failure potentially. If so, I can add some configuration to ignore those or something in the run temporarily. But it'd be a good excuse for me to finish those incomplete tests finally to make sure and give me that full confidence that everything's there. So again, the time I saved during the upgrade, I could use towards something like that. I could use towards new features or whatever. So I'm going to let this run. We're going to go ahead and stop the stream there. I think we get the idea that this build action is doing what we want, and now all the time in the future, anytime a pull request is open from me, from Shift, from future upgrades, from anyone on the team or helping me out, now I have that confidence built in right here, to this experience. I don't have to necessarily see. I would have been able to see on that app models, for example, that my tests were failing when I ran that shift on the fixer, that the tests were failing. I could have got all that feedback right here from GitHub, which is awesome. So, and Bitbucket and GitLab have workflows as well, so you can do that, the same thing there. So. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully you found this helpful. Be a good reference for those that are going to upgrade really old applications. I will say, again, just to be a bit salesy for a second, if you have a super old application and you do have budget or capacity, definitely check out these human shifts. They include the cost of the shift. So if you're coming from 4.2, you have to factor in the fact that you're going to spend, probably $150, which again, for what it does, is an incredible value. But 150 of this 450 is going to include the shifts, so you're already spending that anyway. So if you're on a team, if you've got a boss, talk to them. As you can see, I'm going to be the most efficient anyway, but hopefully you got some tips here if you want to do it yourself, to kind of do it the way I would do it, nice and quickly. So. Okay, look at that, all tests passing. So I'm going to wait on merging this. I'm actually going to deploy this branch directly, and provided that there are no major errors, then I will merge it afterward. And from there, I'll have the tests, I'll have the latest version, and we're all good. So there we go. In an hour, we upgraded 3 major versions of Laravel. We increased our test coverage and improved our CI. So pretty awesome. I don't think that would have been possible without, services like Shift, excellent documentation from Laravel, the support from community to make sure that they update their packages, and services and tools like GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab for kind of helping with these CIs and workflows. So thanks again for you all joining, and see you all next time.